Good morning, guys. It is a cold one this morning. So we did a new podcast with Ian Wall, the creator of Alex Kidd in Miracle World 2. So that's going to be this week's podcast. There is visual if you want to watch it. Of course, you can listen to it like the last one that we did as well. Anyway, I hope you enjoy, and if you do, then leave a thumbs up. Thanks so much. Guys, welcome back to the podcast. So this is episode 2, and we are going to be talking about Alex Kidd in Miracle World 2. And joining me today is the creator and developer, and that's Mr. Ian Wall. So I'll bring him in now. There we go. Ian, welcome to the podcast.
Evening, Ollie. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks ever so much for agreeing to have a chat with us. So, obviously me and you have got to know each other pretty well over the last, maybe 3, maybe 4 years, something like that, with all the Master System Challenge and all that sort of stuff. And we met earlier in the year, of course, for the SMS 8-bit, Sega 8-bit for a meetup, didn't we, as well?
Yeah.
So, before I get into all of the stuff around everything that is Alex Kidd 2, just tell us a little bit about yourself and your background, and I suppose love and passion for the Master System.
So I can't remember the exact year, but it was either Christmas 1990 or 91. We basically got given a Master System. This is my older brother and I. And yeah, ever since then, I guess it was my first gaming console. I must have been about 4 or 5 at the time. So yeah, I've just sort of had a love for it ever since, a lot of nostalgia for it. So yeah, I've always just kind of been involved with either collecting for it or sort of running the Sega 8-bit web fan site for it. So yeah, that was, I guess, when it all started.
Yeah, it's a brilliant console. It was my first as well, and I've kind of had a passion for it for so many years, and I've been lucky enough to meet a lot of really cool people that are involved in the community along with yourself as well. And I think one of the things that I think we're very fortunate with is so much creativity from people within the community that want to make and create and support the system. And of course, you've created this fantastic game, albeit it was quite a few years ago now, wasn't it? It probably feels like a bit of like it was a long time ago, I guess.
Yeah, I can't remember when I finished it now. 2017, I think. Yeah. So what's that? Over 5 years ago now. Well, yeah, that's flown by.
And there are, of course, other sequels now. So we've got Alex Kidd in Miracle World 3, and there's Alex 4 that came out. Was it earlier this year or last year? I think it was this year, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was this year.
So yeah, it's kind of led the way, really, in a lot of respects. So what made you pick Alex Kidd and to develop a game based on the Alex Kidd what's the word? Storyline.
I mean, I guess obviously Alex Kidd in Miracle World is just the sort of classic Master System game. Everyone knows it, everyone loves it, so including myself. I guess, although technically there was a sequel, like the Mega Drive game, Enchanted Castle, no one sort of really likes it, so I kind of wanted to sort of create a sequel for it on the Master System. And it goes back to like 2012. I started sort of dabbling in ROM hacking. And I was looking at Alex Kidd in Miracle World, and I basically just kind of self-taught myself to sort of change sort of the sprites and the level layouts. And the very first sort of ROM hack I did for this game was like a Christmas-themed version of the game, and it was meant to be, it was a secret Santa gift for someone. So we put it on a cartridge and sent it to them. So through that, I basically learned sort of kind of how the game works, like the code, and how to change some things. And when I sort of learned about it, I've kind of had the idea, well, maybe I could sort of just change everything and make a sequel. And so I kind of started sort of just noting down a little storyline, some sort of ideas for levels. But then I quickly realized to change the entire game manually, like just changing bytes of code as I had been doing it, was sort of near impossible. It was too big a task. So I kind of just like parked it for a few years. And then in 2015, it was Calindro sort of brought out the Kid Ed software, which is basically like an Alex Kidd Miracle World game editor, sort of ROM hacking tool. And when I sort of discovered that, I kind of realized that, I could sort of realize my dream of making a sequel, because it made things like level editing and sort of sprite editing so much easier. So yeah, thanks to sort of Kid Ed, I was able to sort of start working on it. And yeah, it took me a few years and got quite a few people involved, but no, it got me in the end, and it was a enjoyable process.
That's awesome. That's fantastic. How did you come up with the storyline? I guess maybe you came up with the game and all of the it's like an assault course of different stuff that you've got to get across, that my gameplay here is not really doing much justice to, I'm afraid. But yeah, how did you come up with the storyline, and how did you decide on what you wanted to tell?
So I didn't put loads of thought into it, but basically at the end of the first game, like, you get the ending sequence, like the scrolling text, and it basically says that Alex Kidd never actually finds his father. So I thought, let's just make the next game sort of just that's the storyline. He's finding his father, and that's kind of what happens with Enchanted Castle. He goes to another planet, but to do that. But I thought we'll keep it in Miracle World, and the one sort of main idea I wanted was to pick up kind of where the first game left off. So the first room in this game is the sort of the final sort of crown room in the original game. And so that was kind of like the basic idea. I kind of like it when sequels do that. Like Wonder Boy 3 Dragon's Trap does that. It's quite a cool little sort of storytelling tool, I find. So that was basically the two kind of main ideas I had. And in terms of the level design, I guess I kind of went with the standard, fire levels and sort of underwater levels and castles and stuff. I think the other thing I wanted to do as well was, so obviously the Alex Kidd game has got a map screen, and basically I kind of just expanded on that map. So if you look at the map in Alex Kidd 2, the very kind of left hand side will match up with the right hand side in the original game. And so it's kind of just moved further east, I suppose, like in Miracle World. And so, yeah, and it's kind of just went from there, really. I was just kind of just coming up with ideas as I went along. I didn't put too much thought into the initial sort of story there.
What sort of challenges did you hit, or stumbling blocks along the way? There's the map, by the way. It just came up briefly then, didn't it?
I guess I can't remember anything in particular being particularly like difficult. I guess early on, so using the Kid Ed software, it was back when I first started using it. It was still like kind of like an early version, and there were some things you couldn't do. So I was kind of getting in touch with Calindro quite a lot to say, could you sort of create a patch for me to do this and that, and so gradually over time, he'd sort of updated the software, improved it and added more features and functionality. But yeah, it was just early on. There's some things you couldn't do with it. So I guess some early versions of the game were a little sort of rough around the edges, but as time went on, it's become even more powerful, and everything was like really easy to do, to be honest. So there wasn't really too many issues in the development of it.
Right, fair enough. Plain sailing. Have you made any other games, or have you thought about making any other games since finishing it off post sort of 2017?
I kind of dabbled a little bit. So, as you probably know, every year SMS Power, their website, they have like a coding competition where people just sort of develop homebrew games or sort of ROM hacks, and I kind of did, I guess, a couple of demos, I suppose, for a couple of games. One of them was like an RPG kind of Zelda type game, and it was using the Alex Kidd engine, funnily enough. But I didn't get too far with that. It was kind of just something I wanted to sort of try. It was the same. It was like again using the KidEd program and Alex Kidd engine. I developed like a horizontal shmup game. Again, it was just very sort of basic first level demo kind of thing. But so yeah, I haven't really sort of spent sort of too much time or effort sort of developing any other games, to be honest. I mean, this Alex Kidd took me a good sort of few years, so I was kind of burnt out by the end of it, to be honest.
Yeah, it's a great little game. Like I say, I do really enjoy playing, but I'm not very good, unfortunately. So I definitely need to practice quite a bit.
Yeah, it's a tricky one with the difficulty.
Sorry, say again.
So I was going to say it's a tricky one with the difficulty of the game, because it's, you know, some people are better gamers than others. Basically, I was trying to find like, you know, a good balance. I'd have people play it, and I would watch kind of what they would do and sort of places they would struggle, and I was trying to sort of create something that, you know, was the right kind of balance, not too hard, but a bit of a challenge. And yes, that was probably one of the most difficult aspects I found of sort of developing the game.
I suppose from your point of view, if you know the game, you've made the game, you probably test the game a lot yourself, and you could probably one credit clear it because you know it that well.
Yeah, sort of by the end of development, you know, I'd played it a million times. I could just cruise through it, but so it was hard to gauge how difficult it was, like just by me testing it. So yeah, it's quite important to get other people involved.
Right. Do you still play it now?
No, I haven't played it in probably a few years, to be honest.
Does it feel a bit weird, like sort of playing it and thinking, yeah, this is pretty good, and oh yeah, I made this?
I guess so. Yeah, it's I think, like I said, I haven't played it in a few years. I think it would be interesting to give it another go. I'm sure it'll all come sort of flooding back to me as I sort of got into it. So
yeah, it's brilliant. In terms of the competitions for the yearly SMS coding thing, do you ever get involved in any of the entries there, or testing or voting, anything like that?
not really. I was involved with Alex Kidd 3 and Alex Kidd 4. Obviously, my experience with making part 2 was sort of quite useful in sort of giving some advice and doing like sort of bug testing and things for the following Alex Kidd games. So I did get involved with those, which was I was sort of honoured to be part of. But no, I don't think I've ever sort of been involved in any other sort of homebrew games.
No, fair enough. Okay. So what was your first experience with the first game? Was that something that you played later on, or did you own? I think, did you say you owned it on the Master System?
I never actually owned it. I never owned it. I had the like the Master System 1 console, so it wasn't built in. But I think so many people I knew, like sort of friends and family, they had the Master System 2 with Alex Kidd built in, and so yeah, just through that, I kind of became really familiar with the game. But yeah, I never actually owned it myself growing up, but I would always sort of loved it, even though I'd only kind of mostly just watch people play it. But yeah,
I was pretty much the same. I only sort of played it myself. Excuse me. I probably only played it myself late teens, maybe even early 20s, because I always had the Model 1 as well. And it was only when I started getting curious about other games and I started to buy other games and collect them that I picked up a Master System 2 that had it built in. So, and I'd already seen it. I'd had other friends that had I'd probably had a go round theirs or whatever, but I was never any good. It's definitely the sort of game that you need to practice a lot to get quite good at. So yeah, I was pretty much the same, to be fair. So, did you finish the game when you did eventually play the first one?
Yeah, so when I actually, I suppose, like, played it properly, I suppose it was when I first got into emulation. I guess we're talking about early 2000s here. Um, and yeah, I think I would have definitely sort of finished it sort of around then. I might have even used like save states at the time. I can't remember, um, but yeah, when I first got into emulation, I was sort of, I had a lot of fun, kind of, playing the old Master System games, reliving those memories. So I probably would have spent a fair bit of time in sort of playing Alex Kidd and sort of finishing it. So,
Yeah,
but yeah, I probably wasn't. I was probably an adult when when I first actually finished it. I can imagine it being quite a hard game for a kid to complete.
yeah, I agree. I have spoken with and caught up with people over the years that have said, "Oh, Alex Kidd, yeah, it's brilliant." I remember, finishing it and something like hats off to you. I certainly never. I mean, I didn't really play it much as a kid, but yeah, I only finished it with the remake that they did. What was that like? A couple of years ago that they brought out, I think. So, and that was the first time I actually managed to finish. So yeah. When you were making the second game, then this sequel of your own, what did you have in mind for wanting to keep in the game to follow a certain path so it stayed true to the first game?
So, I mean, I kept the engine entirely intact. So the way Alex Kidd controls is completely the same as the original. I kind of want it to feel like the original game, but just kind of more, almost like a level pack expansion kind of thing.
Yeah,
Um, and so yeah, I tried to keep sort of very sort of true to the original. I think all the original sound effects are there. There's new music, but a lot of I think I changed all the enemy sprites, but a lot of the sort of background tiles are fairly similar to the original. So yeah, I think it was quite important just to kind of keep it more of the same. And that was one of the kind of the biggest compliments I sort of would read when when people would talk about the game, was that it really felt like the sequel they'd always wanted, kind of thing. And so yeah, I'm sort of happy I achieved that.
yeah. It's almost like an extension of the first game, isn't it? In a lot of ways, and I think it feels very much like you're playing Alex Kidd. Nothing sort of feels out of place, not to my mind, anyway. And I think that's why, certainly, why and I'm sure a lot of other people really enjoy playing it. It's certainly a lot of fun.
Yeah, one of the biggest changes I did make was I got rid of the rock paper scissor matches,
Okay,
which was kind of a you know nice little sort of novelty mechanic at the time, but it wasn't actually that fun. Once you knew like the sequences, it didn't really add much to the game. So I kind of
I
took,
think most
I
kids
didn't
just wrote
include
them
any of
down,
those.
didn't they?
Yeah,
So
so I kind of just took those out. I didn't really think you needed to include them again. I don't think they were like the best part of the game, so I didn't have any of those. Um, and the other kind of, I guess, sort of biggest thing I was sort of proud of was like the new vehicle. So obviously the original game, you got the little motorbike and the helicopter and the speedboat. Um, so in this game, I've managed to, well, with the help of Calindro, we managed to sort of change the speedboat into like a little airplane level, which it does play differently. So all that was kind of a nice little new thing.
yeah,
I
I do
managed
make it
to.
to the aeroplane level in just a minute, I think. So it's not too far off. Yeah, you'll see that in a minute. You touched briefly on the design and the art around the enemy sprites. How did you come up with them? What was your thinking, and what was your inspiration with that?
To be honest, it wasn't me. It was so it's a guy named Paul. He goes by Play Generation. I don't know if you've ever actually spoken to him at all online, or, but he was very
Quite
active on
possibly,
the.
if he's on the forum, I had an old account many years ago that I don't use anymore, primarily because I can't remember the username. um, but yeah, a lot of the old guard, I find now, even when I still go back on, a lot of them aren't on. The people I used to know aren't on there anymore.
Yeah, he used to come to a lot of the meetups, and he was um, very well known on the scene. But it's kind of like disappeared over the last few years. But yeah, but basically I got him involved, and he sort of created a lot of the artwork, like the in-game artwork, like the sprites and the sort of background tiles. So yeah, I think he sort of basically replaced every sort of enemy sprite. They all kind of behave the same as like enemies in the original game, but they just kind of look a bit different. But yeah, he pretty much did all that artwork. And I sort of, I suppose, the biggest involvement I have in terms of the look of the game was mainly the sort of background tiles, sort of I suppose, the use of color and things like that. So yeah.
I suppose with the background tiles, that's like environments. That's the actual gameplay, the blocks you're jumping on, and the everything except the enemies. I suppose that's still no small task. Sorry, go on.
Oh no, I was just saying. I mean, so you can see it on your gameplay video now. There's like because the tiles, the background tiles in the original game were fairly kind of basic. So I've kind of sort of elaborated on them a little bit, I suppose, to make them look a bit more interesting. And I guess I was taking inspiration from other kind of sort of platform games. There's so sort of many. So yeah, it was easy to kind of sort of get inspiration, if you will, from from other games. So yeah, I suppose I didn't. The graphics were. I probably didn't spend too much sort of time on this game, to be honest. I think my main focus was kind of like sort of level design. Because if you look at like the newer, like Alex Kidd 3 and 4, like the graphics on those are sort of incredible compared to this one. So
I have ordered those, but I am a bit of a, I don't know about purist. I've just not played them at all, because I knew I wanted to buy physical copies, which you can get a physical copy of this, of course, as well, from Revo over in France. So I've not played them yet. They are on their way, and I'm looking forward to giving them a go, to be honest. But that's a video for another day, perhaps. Speaking of which, though, so I do have a physical copy here, that I did do a long time ago when I got this through, probably over a year ago now. I did an unboxing. So do you have your own copy of this?
I do. It's not. It's in my garage in storage at the moment. But yeah,
right,
obviously when I made the original copies, I kept one for myself.
Oh, okay. So there was some. Of course, there were some originals. So yeah, really nice cartridge, and it's got like a Master System style manual there, and I think this is the poster, which I'll open it up just quick. Yeah, there we are. And I really like the artwork. It's really good. So yeah, it's a pretty cool, as physicals go, for these ROM hacks or modified games. It's kind of been done justice in that form, I think. So yeah, pretty pleased.
Yeah, it was really important to me that I did kind of want to release it. I mean, I put so much time and effort into making a game. I did want to sort of create like a physical copy. So, I wanted it to look good. I wanted it to look authentic. So, yeah, the artwork is incredible. Like I got in touch with an artist to do that for me, and he was like a Mars System fan anyway. So he was quite keen to get involved, and yeah, so I kind of gave him like a sort of a basic kind of briefing of what I wanted, and I think the first time he sent me like his initial sketch, I was just blown away. I was like, it's perfect. This is exactly kind of what I wanted. And I think he then sent me another version with a color, and then the final version with like shading and things like that. And it just every time I just couldn't get over how good it looked. So yeah, I was really happy with how the artwork turned out.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. I really like it too. So
And that's why I sort of put a poster in there as well. I thought it deserved sort of to be truly appreciated. So, but
yeah,
just on the physical copies, I was going to say. So obviously, so the first I made like a batch of like 25 or so, like the very first run. I say I made it. Play Generation actually kind of did a lot of the work putting it together, because I didn't actually know how to sort of create cart mods, like
okay.
change the ROM chips and all that. I've never sort of dabbled in it, but so Play Gen did a lot of that. So I think I made original 25 copies, and the manual's actually a bit different to the one you've got there. It's like a American style kind of vertical manual, and it's like full
Oh,
color.
right.
And then I released like another 20, 25 copies after that, and I think it was a slightly different version of the game because I did some bug fixes, and I think there was some slight sort of changes to the manual as well. So there's a batch that's slightly different, and then there's the copies that Revo's been doing. So I guess there's like 3 different versions of the physical game. I don't know if you plan on collecting all of them.
So actually, now you mention it, so I've got this copy here, which is a fantastic version. But I did have a copy of the game, a few years ago that I do still have. And now you've mentioned that, I was going to say I'm sure this version is much easier. I don't remember there being so many continues on the first version, or having so many chances to make so many mistakes. I remember it being really quite difficult, unless maybe I got better. But so I do have an older version on a cartridge for sure.
I don't think I really adjusted the difficulty much between the different versions. Unless I think there were some kind of like versions going around, like being sold on eBay, of people just sort of creating their own physical copies and selling them. And it was like I think they might have been using the demo version of the game, because I originally, before I finished it, I submitted like an early version for the SMS Power competition. So that ROM was kind of circulating online. And I think some people use that to kind of create a physical copy of the game. So that version would have been quite different. I'm not sure if that's the case in your situation, but
Yeah, I don't know. This is the one I play now, and I still, I don't really emulate, so I use the actual, cartridges that I buy and that I have. There's just something about having a physical copy, opening out the box, and putting the cartridge in the machine that I really enjoy. So that's my personal preference, and I just, yeah. So it's that one that I got last year that I've been playing more than any of the others, and I'll probably do that, with Alex Kidd 3 and Alex 4 when I get them. Hopefully this side of Christmas. I'm keen to try and build the collection up, but also have something to play over the festive period. So yeah. I'm just looking at the screen. I've just noticed. So this is the part of the game when I first bought it. Like I said, about a year ago, maybe a bit longer. I couldn't get past this bit, and then on this bit of the video, I just flew straight through it. So got lucky.
it's quite a tricky level, because this one, if you die, you basically go back to the start of a level. You kind of have to do it in one shot with the helicopter, which there is a level like that in the original game, but it's quite a tricky level because there's a lot of enemies going around, and if it's very easy to crash a helicopter as well, and if you do that, it's you're pretty much done. So quite a tough level, this one.
Yeah, I don't think you can, unless you tell me otherwise, but I don't think you can do it without the helicopter.
No,
So,
unless you can, if you crash it right towards the end of the level, I think you can. Look, from about this point, I think you might still be able to get to the end.
yeah.
But otherwise, any earlier than that, no, you sort of have to die and start again.
Yeah, it's a tricky bit, and I did it first time then. So at this point playing the game, this was the furthest that I'd got. But I didn't get. I think I beat this level eventually. Got a little bit further. How many levels are there? It probably says on here actually.
I can't remember,
16.
15, 17. Yeah, I was 16. Okay.
Yeah. So when you created this newer version, because you mentioned about essentially there were different versions of the ROM that were available, and you probably tweaked and changed it, knowing right, okay, this is going into production. There's probably going to be a fair few people want a copy. And it had been a little bit of time by then as well, of course. The original sort of coming out 2017ish, and you'd already tweaked it a little by then. But what changes did you want to make for this newer version that came out last year?
I don't think I've made many changes at all, to be honest. I can't remember exactly what I changed, but it would just be like bug fixes. Like, if someone found a way of getting stuck somewhere that I hadn't sort of quite picked up on originally, then I would have fixed that. I suppose like the biggest change, strange enough, was like there's a kind of a secret area in the game, and I basically put my partner's initials in there. But when I originally created the game, I was with a different partner, so those initials changed.
Right, okay.
That's
So
that's
in
probably
earlier versions, then it's a different Easter egg.
yeah.
Right, okay.
I suppose that's probably the biggest change. Otherwise, it's very minimal.
Can you tell me, without giving me maybe exact instructions, but is it difficult to find that hidden area?
No, so it's at the end of the second level. There's a right by the end. You kind of where you collect the rice cake. You instead of doing that, you punch the block in front of you, and you slide underneath, and then it's kind of on the other side of that.
Right, okay. I'll have to have a little look for that then. And
So it's fairly hidden. I think some people were able to find it, but there's quite a lot of hidden areas and secrets in this game. I really enjoy just hidden things in games, so I put quite a lot into this one.
I remember when we were playing Flight of Pigarus on the Master System Challenge, and I tuned into your Twitch channel, and some of the scores that you were racking up, or able to rack up on that game through finding hidden stuff. So I don't know if you had some insider knowledge, or perhaps you just practiced a lot. But yeah, you certainly knew a lot more of the hidden bonus things to give you, bonus points or whatever than I even knew that were there.
Yeah, I think I did. If you look at the game's code running, you can kind of figure out sort of what's what, and then you doing that, I was able to kind of sort of find where the hidden sort of bonus sort of items were, and other things I kind of learned just through sort of other people sort of playing the game and finding things and discussing it. So yeah, just a bit of research.
How do you? I don't know if you'll be able to explain, but how do you look at games code? The codes of games. What do you have to do it when they're running? Did you say or?
Yeah, so I do it through emulation. So I use Mecha, which is probably like the oldest and probably still the best sort of Master System emulator you can get. This was made by Omar, who goes by Box. So obviously he's been around the Master System scene forever, but he made the Mecha emulator. But so yeah, when you're playing a game, you can. It's like a debugging tool. It's called the memory editor. So it's basically you just see all the bytes of code running in the RAM, and you can kind of these bytes will basically mean something. So one byte will be how many lives you've got. So, and that's basically kind of how like Pro Action Replay codes work. They change these bytes and sort of fix them to a particular value, whatever you set. And so, you'll have infinite lives or whatever. So it's just about looking at the sort of ROM, finding these bytes and trying to understand what they are. It's kind of hard to explain, but it's just something you sort of just pick up over time.
Okay, cool.
So I
If
don't actually have any sort of knowledge in like coding. It's all just kind of self-taught.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, it's way over my head. I remember you've mentioned it on stream a few times about, oh, I'll look at the code and see if there's certain ways that I can beat a certain score, which I think is brilliant. Fair play to you for having the nous to be able to go and see how you can do certain things to get a certain score. I think that was part of the. I think people really enjoyed tuning into your streams to see what your strategies were to get such high scores a lot of the time. So yeah, fair play to you.
Yeah, no, I really love doing it. And your Master System Challenge like really gave me a reason to kind of really sort of dig into a game and find out, sort of understand how it works. And I mean, I'm in the process at the moment of sort of basically just going through every single game in the library and just trying to find any kind of sort of secrets, or just just really trying to understand like the gameplay mechanics, how it all works. And I'm documenting it all like in a sort of book at the moment. So
Oh
yeah, I'm
yeah,
basically doing that.
I remember you telling me once about this book that you're going to do. Can you tell us any more about it?
Um, yeah, it's basically just like like a guidebook, I suppose. I'm just working through, like I say, working through every game. I'm creating like walkthroughs and sort of compiling all the cheats, practice and replay codes, any sort of trivia, any secrets, absolutely anything I can find in these games. I'm sort of just adding to this book, and it just gives me an excuse to go through every game and just find stuff which I just really enjoy doing. So, um, but I've been working on it for a few years now. I'm only up to like F in the library, like starting from A. I think I'm working on Fantasy Zone at the moment. Um, so yeah, I've still got a long, long way to go. But no, yeah, I just really enjoy doing it though. I've found like a lot of new stuff over the years. A lot of undocumented sort of cheats and sort of secrets. So yeah, I just enjoy doing it.
Yeah, like I mentioned earlier, it's such a great community around the Master System and Sega 8-bit Forum and SMS Power and all these. As much as certainly busier 10 or 15 years ago, but it's certainly not dead. And there's a really great community with everybody and everybody's input and whatnot. The coding competition every sort of spring as well. So we've got another one coming up, which everybody's sort of looking forward to. What homebrews or whether they be ROM hacks, kid eds, whatever. What games have you enjoyed the most over recent years?
Yeah, so I mean, the scene I think, is still like incredibly sort of active. I think. I mean, the Sega Bit forum, which I run, is sort of died down a lot over the years, but SMS Power, I think, is still very active, and it's people still making sort of homebrew games and importing sort of other games. It's so good to see. I think sort of the best homebrew games I've played in recent years. I think you've already mentioned one, Flight of Pigorus. It was a brilliant kind of caravan style shmup. It's only sort of a short game, but it's just so well made. It's so fun and addictive. So that's probably my favourite. Obviously, the Alex Kidd games, sort of 3 and 4, very, very good. I think there was a game called, I can't remember, it's Baraburu. I think Bok made that one. That was like a really cool game.
It might be Kajasan. I might have that actually. Baraburu. I think I've got it somewhere.
I was thinking of Koku Kan or something like that. I can't
Oh
remember.
right. Oh
No,
okay.
but Baraburu is also very good. Yeah, that's a different game I was going to mention as well. But yeah, anything by Kage-san is very good. There's another guy, I can't remember his name. E Ruiz. I can't. He's got just like a studio name, but I can't remember what it
Oh
was.
yeah, the Spanish guy.
Yeah, he
He's
made Silver Valley, I think.
yeah, Silver
Um,
Valley, and
yeah,
he did Green Beret a couple of years ago, didn't he? As well, the Green Beret port. Yeah,
Yeah, so he does fantastic work. All his games are very good, so I've enjoyed all of those.
yeah. No, he's a good guy. Um, you touched on just briefly about the with yourself running the Sega 8-bit forum. What can you tell us about the forum and how you got involved with it and what you do in the? I suppose it's not quite as busy as it used to be, but there's still a lot of still a great community on there for the diehard people that still contribute to it.
Yeah, so it's been around a long time. It's quite sort of an interesting story, I suppose. The forum itself was originally attached to the SegaMasterSystem.com website. So you're probably familiar with Tyler, who does the My Retro Life videos. They're sort of really popular now. But yeah, back in the early 2000s, he'd made a website for the Master System, SegaMasterSystem.com, and then the forum. So you might even see like the URL of the forum is still called Shinobi Man Pro Boards or whatever, and that was his sort of username. And then I guess around 2004, I'm guessing. So Andy, who you might know as Sinistral or Zanoni Revived, he created the Sega 8-bit website. And I guess, and then basically when SegaMasterSystem.com kind of sort of became sort of inactive, he kind of just took on the forum, and we've been sort of managing it ever since. And I guess maybe a couple of years after the Sega8bit.com website was developed, I kind of just got in touch with Andy and just because I wanted to get involved. So I started helping out, and eventually Andy handed the reins over to me. I can't remember exactly when that was, but yeah, ever since I've just sort of just I suppose been managing the website. To be honest, it hasn't been updated in many years. I've kind of tried on a few occasions to try update it and just improve like the database it kind of runs on, but it always ends up being a bit too difficult for me. I just run out of time, so it's quite an old-fashioned website, and but there's still some good information on there, and I keep it running because of that. So, but yeah, and the forum's always been sort of pre-active, but yeah, it's got a bit quiet in recent years, but it's still all the old posts are still there. There's a lot of useful information on there, so I just keep it all alive, really.
Yeah, when I first started out collecting, I was on there all the time reading just really old posts, and there were quite a few users on there, like James. Although I only realised about a year or two ago that James and Rupert were the same person. So of course, he's been going to these yearly events that you guys run in Manchester. He's been going for years, so you guys know each other quite well, I guess. But yeah,
I mean, he's literally been to every single one. The first ever one was 2008, so they've been going a long while. Yeah, and he hasn't missed a single one. So he's a Master System super fan if I ever saw one.
Yeah, he's definitely got the season ticket, hasn't he? Top lad. Have they always been in I know last year's we did, or sorry, this year's, should I say, we did in a different location. But prior to that, had they always been in Manchester?
All but one. I think either I can't remember if it was the second or third year, but we had one. I think it was in Birmingham somewhere. I think that's the only one I've ever missed. But one of the users, I can't remember who. It may have been Peda. I can't remember exactly, but they basically had access to like their work office. So, right. Yeah, we had it there. But yeah, other than that, it's always been in Manchester, a few different locations. But yeah, it's quite. I think most sort of the users on the forum are kind of based up north, and those of us from down south, it's quite easy to get to Manchester, so we're happy to travel. So it's just an ideal location, really. And it's a lot cheaper than anywhere in London as well.
Yeah, of course. It's just a great excuse to spend a day playing Master System games, isn't it? At the end of the day.
Yeah, I mean, I think most people just spend most of the day just like chatting to other people.
Yeah.
So yeah, not that much game playing gets done, I don't think. But
No, it just flew when that's the only one I've been to was, of course, this year's, because I missed last year's sadly. But yeah, I think
I
and the
remember.
pandemic obviously had a bit of an effect of these things being able to happen. So I mean, I think I got properly back into collecting around probably 2018, and I probably didn't go back on the forum until probably 2020, when everybody was in lockdown, and I just had a lot more time, and I'd seen all these posts, about this meetup and that, and I was like, oh, no way that they've got posts, but there probably won't be one this year, because we're all in lockdown. So what are you going to do? You're going to come up with a Master System challenge, right? So in terms of just going back to not cart modding, sorry, ROM hacking. So what advice would you give to somebody if they wanted to get involved using maybe something a little easier than full-blown development, with something like the KidEd software, or even the SMS dev kit, which is one of the other newer ones?
Yeah, to be honest, I'm not even familiar with the SMS dev kit. I think that's even sort of beyond me. I can sort of only really say just use KidEd. It's so good, so powerful. You can change the game so much. Like if you want to create a platformer game, just use KidEd. It does everything. You can change pretty much everything. So it just doesn't even look or feel like an Alex Kidd game anymore. So yeah, if you want to sort of get into it and just learn the basics, have a bit of fun with it, then just use KidEd would be my advice.
And I think there's a thread on on SMS Power where you can then download a version of KidEd and give it a go yourself, isn't there? I think so. I think it's easy enough to get hold of it if that's what you want to do.
Yeah, and if you go on the SMS Power, there's so many different sort of ROM hacks, using KidEd. You just need to take a look at those just to kind of get an idea of the things you can do with it. So yeah, they're all on the SMS Power website.
Yeah, brilliant. Are there any particular pitfalls or anything you do differently, or advice you can offer to sort of say, don't do this or make sure you do that?
Not really, I guess. Just I just had fun with it, and I guess maybe obviously like anything really, you want to come into it with some kind of rough idea, a plan of what you're going to do, just so you're not having to change loads of stuff later on. But yeah, no, other than that,
did you mention that you'd made a shmup or something yourself with KidEd as well?
yeah, so it's very basic. So it's kind of based on the airplane sort of level in this game. It's basically just using that kind of I guess change to the game. And I think I nicked some sprites from other shmups. I think like Bomber Raid or something like that. Just as
Right.
like placeholders, just so I can sort of test it really. But yeah, it was literally sort of just one basic level. Just testing the kind of feasibility of making a whole sort of game.
Yeah.
Whole shmup game in KidEd. But yeah, I didn't really get much further than that.
I had seen one other game. It might be the same one. Might have been yours. I don't know. But I had seen one just recently. I sort of saw it actually on one of the posts. So yeah, it's definitely something that's doable for sure. People obviously look at it and do it. So yeah, cool. Ian, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. there's no. I mean, I could probably go on and chat to you for an entire evening, but I'm mindful that I didn't want the video to go sort of too much over the 45 minutes. So I really do appreciate your time very, very much. I'm very grateful for you spending some of your evening to have a chat with me. So yeah. Guys, thank you ever so much for watching the video. I really appreciate it. If you want to get in touch with Ian, then you can obviously go on the forum, which is sega8bit.com, or the Shinobi boards as well to have a chat or whatever. I think you're on Twitter, or X as it is now, aren't you, buddy? And
Yeah.
and of course, you've got your Twitch channel where you're still doing the odd bit of streaming here and there. I think the last time I tuned in, I think you were playing, was it Super Nintendo games for the One Credit Classics challenge that he puts out, Ben puts out.
Yeah, I mean, since you've stopped doing the SMS challenge, I've kind of had to start playing other systems now. So I blame that on you. But yeah, but usually on those streams, I'll sort of dabble in a bit of my system as well. But yeah, but I don't stream as much as I did when the SMS challenge was about. But yeah, when I get free time, I do. So I obviously don't get loads of sort of people watching, but I really just I'm playing games anyway, so I might as well just stream it and then talk to people as I'm playing. It's nice to do. So
yeah, I think a lot of people they I mean, there are some people that if they don't stream, they don't play. That's all. They're just when they're playing games, they are streaming. It's just how they prefer to. And yeah, fair play. I think you're right. I think why are you playing anyway? Why not? Cool. Well, thanks ever so much again, buddy. I really do appreciate it. Again, guys, thanks ever so much for tuning in and listening. And like I say, if you want to get in touch with Ian, leave a comment below. I can probably put you in touch that way, or if you've got any questions, then I can get them to Ian fairly sort of easily or whatnot. If you enjoyed the video, please give me a thumbs up. Do leave a comment with your thoughts. And yeah, I will see you on the next one. Thank you ever so much, guys.